Hello, my name is Joshua and welcome to another video on the Deep Wiz channel. I'm recording this on the 17th of December, so I thought I might as well do my end of year tier list on all the TV shows that I watched in the year of 2022. I didn't do this last year just because I thought it's really complicated because TV shows are like different lengths. Some TV shows I just merged all the seasons into like one, and some I've left the seasons separate, but I'm just going to work with it. I'm going to be eating some fruit tellers while I do this. So here we are on the tier maker website once again, and here are all of my TV shows that I've watched. So the first TV show that we have on there is American Horror Story Asylum. I gave this like a 9.5 when I watched this. It's a really well made show. The cinematography is great. I think the concept of this asylum, it feels insane. It feels like insanity. I think the writing is really great as well. I like the stylistic choices. I just think it's a really solid season. I wouldn't say it's perfect, so it's not an S tier for me, but it is very, very, very good. I'll give it an A. Next we have American Horror Story Freak Show. I don't think this show is as solid as Asylum. It gets a little bit boring near the middle. There's some questionable character choices and decisions. Yeah, I'm not that big of a fan of the villain, the posh, snobby guy. It just kind of feels cartoonish whenever he's on screen. Yeah, I'd give it a B tier. Then we got Andor. I said in my end of month video that I just didn't find this show all that entertaining. It's very, very, very dialogue based, but at the same time it's extremely well crafted. The cinematography is great. The world building is amazing. I like Cassian as a character. I really think all of the scenes with Cassian in like jail and him trying to escape, I just think it's entertaining and really interesting. I love Andy Serkis. I think he does a really good job in this show, so it isn't all boring. But yeah, I'll put it in the B tier. It is very, very solid, but at the same time it's very, very boring. Then we have Avatar. I'm not sure which season's which. I think this is book 1, this is book 2, this is book 3. Book 1 I put in A tier, I think. I do think it's very childish in book 1, but there is some great writing, some great episodes in this season. I do like Aang as a character, Katara, obviously, Sokka. They're just a really, really great trio. The whole world building aspect is really great as well. I don't really know what else to say, but it is a very solid season, but it isn't perfect. I just would like some things to be improved on a little bit more, expanded on a little bit more, which I think book 2 and 3 does perfectly. So I'm putting book 2 and book 3 in the S tier, I think. They're just two phenomenal seasons. Really great animation. They improved a lot on the animation in like these 2 seasons, especially book 3. Some really, really great moments, some really entertaining moments. I just think these 2 seasons are just phenomenal. And here we are on to Better Call Saul. I'm not sure how to rank these seasons because the thing is, it's 6 seasons. I can't really remember what happened in each of the seasons. I think I'm going to put the first 3 seasons in A tier because I remember the first 3 seasons being very, very exceptional, but there were some sluggish moments at points. There were some moments that were very slow and I wasn't really that invested in. But season 4, 5, 6, I think they're near enough perfect seasons. I loved these 3 seasons. I'm probably going to put them in S tier because yeah, I love how Vince finished everything off perfectly in these last 3 seasons. Everything was rounded up perfectly. I love how it tied everything into Breaking Bad. After Chuck died, I think is where the show started to pick up steam, I think. Black Mirror. This is one of these confusing ones because most episodes of Black Mirror are kind of like mini movies and the seasons of Black Mirror as well, and I've just basically put it into one show. It's a bit confusing where to put this because there's some Black Mirror episodes that are really great, some that are not so great. I'll put it in B. There are some very, very exceptional Black Mirror episodes like White Christmas. I love that episode. I like the Bryce Dallas Howard episode with the like score on your phone. Yeah, but there were some very forgettable episodes in this show. Like I mentioned in my end of month video, someone just skipped altogether. So B tier seems suitable. Then we have the Book of Boba Fett. Now this is a dodgy one because for the first like 5 or 6 episodes, it was extremely boring. The writing was pretty bad for this show. And then The Mandalorian came in and it basically turned into Mandalorian 2.5 and then became really, really, really great. And then the finale was okay. So yeah, C. It's extremely, extremely messy. Bojack. There's 6 seasons of Bojack. Season 1 I'll probably put in B tier. It's very solid. It does feel like a kind of Family Guy ripoff at the start. It feels like it started off like a copy of like all animated adult TV shows. And I feel like near the end it started coming into its own, which I really liked. But it just wasn't there yet. It wasn't TV perfection yet. I say until season 2, that's where I started really, really, really getting into the show. I really like the character building from all the characters characters. I like how they focus on the side characters a lot in the second season as well. Season 3 I think is really great as well. It goes to some really interesting places, which I really like. I just love how unique it is from other animated TV shows and how dark it gets and realistic it gets with its themes. Season 4 I'm still going to put in the A tier. Very, very great as well. Season 5, the thing is, when I finished watching the show, like, the seasons kind of blend into one. I can kind of pinpoint certain things that happened in each season. Yeah, I think these 4 seasons are around the same level. They're really, really great writing, really interesting directions. Great. And then the 6th season, I'm probably going to put an S tier. Rounds up everything perfectly. Very emotional ending. It deserves the S tier. And then we're on to Breaking Bad. I think every season of the show is just an S tier for me. It's gotta be. It's Breaking Bad. I loved this show. It's my favourite show of all time now. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal show. I can't pinpoint anything bad about this show, really. Everything about it is iconic, amazing. It's just an S tier for me, the whole show. The whole show's just an S tier. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. To be honest, I only watched this in September, I'm pretty sure, or August. I don't remember much from it. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit forgettable. The animation is phenomenal. I like the anime style, and then it's like all neon, and it's just the futuristic setting is great. I like the aspect of like cybernetic implants and that. Very interesting concepts. I like where it goes with it. But overall, I just found it to be a little bit forgettable in my opinion. Dharma. I'm going to put this in B tier as well. I think Evan Peters does a really good job as Dharma. I do think they stretch a lot of things out a lot in this show though. There's a lot of like stretched out plot points that go on for way too long. They focus on characters that we don't need to focus on. I feel like they focus way too much on Dharma's neighbour. But I like how deep it goes into the lore of Jeffrey Dahmer. That sounds really weird. I like the performances. I think the writing is pretty good for the most part. I feel like it should go in like a tier between B and C. I'm adding a row below called X tier. Why not? Let's call it X tier. I feel like that's a suitable spot to put it. Don't Hold Me, I'm Scared. I think this is a really, really great show. I want to watch it now, to be honest. It's really, really, really well made. I love that you can see how much work is put into this show through all the puppets and the set design and everything. I like the horror concepts, the twisted nature of it. It's just great. I really want to see a season 2 from this show. It's a really solid show. Maybe they could have gone a little bit more into like the horror factor of it a little bit more. Apart from that, it's an A tier. It's really great. Doc Martin season 10. I do think it's kind of a disappointing season looking back. It is kind of a disappointing season. There's a lot of repeated elements in this season from other seasons. I just feel like they retconned Martin resigning as a doctor. He just went back as a doctor in the first episode. But the finale was really, 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 really great. I love the finale. I think it ran up everything really great. I think it was really emotional. So yeah, put in X tier. Family Guy, I think I might leave this off the list because the thing is, I've watched every episode of this show, which was rated like a 7.5 or over on IMDb. I just wanted to watch the best of the show. So I've watched a good amount of the show, but like, it's just complicated to rank it with seasons when I've watched several seasons worth of the show. Ghosts, I'm pretty sure it's season 4. I'm not gonna lie, I found this season to be disappointing. I'm putting it in the C tier. I just felt like it went nowhere this season, apart from killing off one of the ghosts. I can't remember which one. I respect them having balls. I respect the balls they had to do that, but the rest of the season was just really, really, really forgettable. It's just not up to the level of the previous seasons of the show, in my opinion. So I'm putting it in the C tier. Hitmonkey. I watched this all the way back in January. So I don't remember a lot from this show. I know that it's really well animated. I enjoyed the interesting style of animation with all like the blur in the backgrounds and the motion blur and everything. And there was some good gore in it. I liked the action. The action was really great. I just don't remember much from it, to be honest. The ninja monkey with the ghost. I'll give it an X tier, I guess. I don't remember much from it. Genius. This is a mini series. I guess I'll count it as a show. I really enjoyed this. As a Kanye West fan, it's not really great to say that now that I'm a Kanye West fan after everything he's said recently, but I'm a fan of his music, and I think this film documents Kanye's rise to stardom in a really, really good way. It just documents it really well, like the making of the college dropout, everything leading up to it. I do think the 3rd episode does get a little bit preachy on religion. The first 2 episodes were really, really great. 3rd episode, okay, I give it a B. It's a very, very well made documentary. I think the guy who narrates it is really great as well. Jessica Jones, I really enjoyed this season of television. I think it's really well made. I absolutely adore David Tennant as Kilgrave. He's one of my favourite villains of all time, I think. He's so threatening. He's so scary. I really love him in this show. Jessica Jones, she's okay. I like the directions they go with this show though, and the twists and turns it takes. The finale is really satisfying. Yeah, I give it a B tier. My Hero Academia season, I think this is season 1. Season 1, I'll give a B tier. I think it's a very good anime. I think it's a very interesting concept. There are some cringe moments. It's usually with the Class 1A interactions. I just find them to be really agonizing in some points. For all 3 seasons, it's very cringe. There's some characters that I just despise, like the guy with the balls on his head and the frog lady. I don't like those 2 characters. They just annoy me a lot. I don't think the animation's the best. I think they could have improved on the animation, which they did in the seasons to follow. Good action all around. A B tier show. Season 2. I'll probably give season 2 a B tier as well. It is a little bit of an improvement on season 1, I guess. It's very long compared to season 1. It's like double the length to season 1, I'm pretty sure. And I do think they drag out a lot of stuff a lot. I like where the season goes. I think it goes into some really interesting directions. I like how it delves into some side characters' backstories. Yeah, I respect it. Season 3. I'm going to add another row. J tier for Joker. Why not? Yeah, I'll put season 3 there. I don't think it's as good as the first 2 seasons. It doesn't justify the length. It's the same length as season 2, but again, they just drag stuff out a lot. There's just some arcs and plot lines that are just really not that interesting at all. There are some standout episodes, some of the best of the show that I've seen, like the All for One episode or the One for All episode. I can't remember which one. I like the one with the fight with Deku and Kachan, but overall, it just gets very, very boring. Oh god, Miss Marvel. It's going right in the D tier. You know what? I'm going to add a row below this and I'm going to call it an F tier. I'm putting Miss Marvel in the F tier because I just don't like it. It's one of my least favourite shows of the year. First of all, it's very, 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 very boring. It's only like 6 episodes long, but I feel like everything is dragged out a lot. I couldn't care less on anything that's going on in this show. I think they focus on the religion aspect of the show way too much. They hardly focus on the superhero aspect at all. I find side characters to be just really boring or infuriating. I find Kamala to be infuriating. I just don't like anything about this show. I'm sorry, it's just an F tier. I think the first 2 episodes had a really unique style, but they didn't continue it at all after those first 2 episodes. Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is a disappointing season of television, I'm not gonna lie. I'm putting it in C tier. I obviously love Ian McGregor as Obi-Wan, and I think he does a great job in this show. I like the young Leia aspect of it, but I don't like where the show goes in my opinion. I think this show is just very, very, very poorly written, like Boba Fett. I think the cinematography of this show is just really flat as well. That's why I rank Andor so high, because the cinematography of that show is just amazing. I just feel like Obi-Wan is just very dark. I don't like the villain that much. I do think the finale, like the last 2 episodes, are pretty good, but it just doesn't save the show for me. I'm not the biggest fan of the prequels as well, so that might add a bit of my disappointment to this. Peacemaker, on the other hand, probably A tier, to be honest. This is just, I love this season. John Cena just does a really, really great job as Peacemaker. This show is so funny. The action is phenomenal. The visuals of the show, like James Gunn is amazing with visuals. The side characters are all funny as well and really enjoyable. It's just a really great season for me. I really love this. I really want them to do a season 2. I don't know if that's happening because of what's happening with James Gunn and DC. James Gunn decided to like restart the whole of the DCU. She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Yeah, this is pretty bad as well. This is going F tier as well. It's not funny at all. There was some jokes that landed, but yeah, it was just very cringe for the most part. I like Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters. As She-Hulk, not so much. I don't like the CGI of She-Hulk. It just looked very Uncanny Valley. And I just don't like a lot of the episodes as well. A lot of the episodes feel self-contained, but in a bad way. They just feel like a waste of time. Some episodes just feel like they go nowhere. Some episodes just feel painful to watch. The Daredevil episodes I did enjoy. I think it's really great. I think it went in a really interesting direction, but then the finale just ruined it again. Smiling Friends. I really love this show. This is probably going in the A tier as well. I love how unique this show is. I think the character designs are really great. The humor of the show is just really unique and interesting as well. It's really funny. I don't really have much else to say about this show. It's just an A tier. I really want to rewatch this show. Solar Opposite season 3. I think I'll put this in the X tier. I was saying in my end of month video for the show that I felt like it's delving into like the Rick and Morty style of humour a bit too much, because obviously Justin Roiland's involved with this show, and I feel like he puts that Rick and Morty style aside when it comes to this show for the first 2 seasons, but with this season it's just a bit too much. I obviously still like the show. I like the opposites as characters. I don't think we saw enough of the Wall in this season. I feel like we should have seen more of the Wall. The whole Wall aspect of the show is more interesting than the opposites hijinks. It's a fun season, but it isn't as solid as the past seasons of the show. Stranger Things season 1. This was a very solid season. Probably putting this in A tier as well. I did feel like it took a while to get going, but when it got going, it really got going. I started getting into the characters very quickly. I love the 80s style, and I just like where everything goes with this season. Stranger Things 2, I'll probably give it a B tier. It's not as solid as the first season. I don't really like 11 being like separated from the bunch for like the whole duration of the season, and I feel like there is filler, but I do like where it turned up at the end of the season. I think it goes in a very interesting direction. So B tier. Stranger Things 3, I'm probably going to put this in B tier as well. It's a very different style to the first 2 seasons. There is a lot more humour, and it does take a while to get used to it, but when I did get used to it, I did start liking this season more, and I feel like it has a more interesting style and direction than Stranger Things 2. But at the same time, there is some awkward dialogue. There is some not great humour that kind of ruins the suspense. It's still a very solid season. I'll put it in B. And Stranger Things 4, I'll put this in A tier. I think this is a return to formula for the show. I think it's nearly as good as season 1. The twists and turns are just unbelievable for this show. They're just really great. Love Vecna as a villain. Yeah. A tier. The Boys, diabolical. I can't remember what I ranked this show when it first came out, but looking back on it, it's not really that great. I think I'll put it in D tier just because D tier is empty, but I like the aspect of there being like different styles of animation for each episode. There are some standout episodes. I like how it's an anthology for each episode, and each episode is a different story in the Boys universe. I like the Homelander origin episode. That was really great. But the rest of the episodes are just not that memorable at all. The Book of Boba Fett, I've literally just done this show. Why have I got it in here twice? The Boys season 3. I think this is an A tier. I really like this season. I think maybe season 1 is a better season than this, but it does go in some really interesting directions. I love Soldier Boy as a villain. Homelander, obviously, some really standout moments for him in this season. And obviously you get all the gore and naked. There's some really funny moments in it as well, obviously. I love it parodies superhero shows. The Cuphead show, season 1 and 2. I haven't watched season 3 of the show because I haven't heard good things about it at all. But the first 2 seasons were very enjoyable in my opinion. They weren't like phenomenal or anything, but I'll put season 1 in D tier. I felt like season 1 did have a lot of boring episodes. Just episodes that went nowhere. I feel like season 2 did improve in the animation and the expressiveness of all the characters. And there was some good humour in there. And there was some really great episodes. I do like the Devil episodes of the show the most. I think the Devil episodes are really standout. The Defenders! D for Defenders, let's put it there. I didn't really like this show. I just found it to be very boring. Maybe it's because I haven't watched Luke Cage or Iron Fist. But I thought Sigourney Weaver was going to be like a really great villain, and then she just turned out to be extremely boring. The whole show is just boring in my opinion. I think the action scenes are pretty good. You've got the hand subplot in there with Stick, but I just don't think it leads to anywhere interesting. I think the finale is pretty good, and obviously it leads into Daredevil season 3. I just didn't find it that interesting in my opinion. The In-Betweeners, I'll put this in J tier. It's a very solid British TV show. Really iconic. The jokes are very unique to the show. There's obviously some iconic moments that British people quote a lot. I do think there is some low level humour, but most of the time it works in favour of the show. The low level humour just makes the show as charming as it is and as iconic as it is, really. The Walking Dead season 1. I'm really sorry for this placement, but I'm going to have to put it in X tier. I was expecting this season to be very good, but I'm not going to lie, I just came out of it being very disappointed. I think the practical effects are really great for the zombies. I like how they use practical effects for a lot of it. I like the second half when they're in like that underground bunker. I just think there's like too many characters in the show for me to care about all of them, and like I just don't care about the main sheriff guy as well. So yeah, Trainwreck Woodstock 99. This is again another mini series like Genius. It's a pretty good documentary. I like how it documents the events from the start to the end. It is very interesting as someone who didn't know anything about this event and what happened there and how much of a disaster it was. And it was very interesting. I like how it documents like people's different views on the event, why people think it went wrong. I'll put it in C tier. The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I couldn't tell you a thing that happened in this show. It's Jeff Goldblum. I think Jeff Goldblum's charming. I know that Jeff Goldblum is being Jeff Goldblum. I'll put it in D tier. I feel like I've put Defenders too low now. I think I might move Defenders up to C tier. Then we got Arrested Development. I really like this show. I like the Bluth family and all their antics. I love all the running gags and how like some gags come around. There's a lot of cameos in this show as well. It's a very funny show, charming, very well written. The humor's really fast paced as well. I think all of the show is around the same level, so I think I'd put these all in the same tier. I'll put them all in A tier. They're very solid seasons of television. Ben 10. I haven't actually finished watching this show yet. At the end of the day, it is a children's show, but it is a pretty good children's show with a really fun concept. I like the aspect of the Omnitrix and the whole alien aspect of the show. I like Ben as a character. I like Gwen as a character. I like the grandpa. I think they work really well off each other. I just feel like a lot of the characters in this show act stupid for just the plot to work around them. It just gets a bit annoying after a while. Yeah, I'll put it next tier. So yeah, we have a full tier list here. I think I'm gonna switch around some of them in the order that I feel like is my favourite of the tier. That doesn't make sense. I think that's about it. I think I'll put them all in a suitable order now. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you didn't, please dislike. And I'll see you in the next video.